Welcome back. Welcome back. How are you guys? This is Mr. Argueta coming to you week number 5. Amazingly, we have now passed the midway point. We are essentially at the end of this week, 2 weeks away from the end. So let me just give you a recap. Last week we did our midterm. All your grades have been entered up to that point, so you should be able to get a good feeling in regards to where you stand in this class. I'm going to guess that most of you are doing great. I'm going to, as we speak here, do a little quick analysis of all of your grades and make sure that no one's really off the mark here. There might be one or two of you that need to get in contact with me, but for the most part, I think the majority of the class is doing great. I appreciate all your hard work. I know that this is not something that you want to be doing in the summer. So make sure that you are getting all your points in when it comes to your discussions. Reply to 2 classmates, reply to my video, and then you should be able to give me a solid content of what you're talking about, and we should be good. But the majority of you are doing excellent in this job, in this work, and I appreciate that. This week, we basically focus in regards to back to our normal pattern. We do our 2 chapters, communicating in teams and organizations, and we talk about power and influence in the workplace. Our discussion for week 5 deals with these different chairs and communication, and it's really interesting to watch this video because it gives us a sort of perspective to slow down, to kind of slow down in the way we're communicating things to other people. One of the things that resounded with me in what the speaker talked about is the concept of her talking to her mom, and her mom made this sort of exaggerated statement of like, oh my god, there was 30 people in our like dinner or family reunion, whatever it was, and she felt the need to correct her, and she's communicating from a particular chair. She's judging what the mom is saying, and she eventually corrects her and says, no, there was only 13, because the speaker says she felt the need to bring correction to the situation. And I know a lot of us do that, including myself, being a person that has enjoyed the educational process and has now become an educator. It's easy for me to fall into that perspective of sort of fact checking, if you may, people, especially when it comes to different topics that I'm well aware of. And I've learned to stop that and allow people to have conversations around me that may not always be correct. And one of the things that she mentioned in that statement was that the mom replied to her and said, do you want a relationship with your mom, or do you want to be right? And this goes back to our ethical concepts that we talked about in Principles of Management. If you took me in Principles of Management, you remember I asked the question, is it ever okay to lie? This sort of falls in that thing. Like the end result really dictates why you made that decision. And in this particular case, the end result is a relationship with your mom. Do you want to sit around correcting your mom all the time, or do you want a relationship with your mom? Is it more important for you to be right with those things that don't matter? They're trivial, they're minimal. And I thought about that. Of course, I've taught this class many times in the past, and this video has always spoken to me because it is true. We have to take our time, and I have to do this with everyone around me, with my students, with my personal relationships, with my kids, with my wife, with my friends. When we're having conversations and I don't necessarily agree with their statement, or I feel that it's not factual in what they're coming up with, even in our heated debates that we're having today in politics, maybe someone stated something that's not factual, and it's a person that's really close to you that you care about. Do you value being right more than the relationship with that person? So she does a great job in breaking it up into different chairs and looking at it from different perspectives. I encourage you to watch the video. A video is a little bit long, but I'll give you a little tip here. If you're watching it and you click on where it says watch on YouTube or even off of the actual site, it gives you the opportunity to speed up the video so that it can get done a little quicker. You still get the meat of the video. What's the purpose of the video? Once again, I don't want an AI response to this. I don't want you to upload the video to the AI and say create a response to these questions. The questions are guidelines, guys. I don't want you to think that you're I know the summary of the video. I want summary as I did to you. Reflect upon this and say which one of these chairs most fits me and what I do and how I react. As I did to you, and I confess to you that one of the chairs that I struggle with because of my role in society as being an instructor and correcting people and correcting grammars and doing stuff to improve, they're not necessarily because I want to be judgmental, it's because I want to help. I want, my genuine heart is to help you improve in certain areas. So don't ever take my critiques as personal. It's really encouraged to, or it's meant to encourage you to improve on certain thoughts or challenge your thoughts, better said. So the questions are guidelines. I don't want you to answer the questions. I know the answers to the questions. I want you to tell me your perspective of that. And these are just to guide you in the conversation. That said, next week we have a discussion and we are moving very fast because next week is basically week 6. And then week 7, we move into our final. And week 7 essentially has no discussion. So technically speaking, after you completed this week, next week's the last week of a discussion. Week 7, we do our final. Keep in mind that it is up to you to keep a track of your sort of study guide for your final because the quiz questions are in the final. All right. Other than that, it's now Tuesday, 9:51 a.m. It's been pretty nice this morning, but I understand we got some severe weather coming our way. So I don't want to sound like a meteorologist, but be careful out there and be aware of your environment. I want you to understand that, you know, it's important for me as your instructor to know that you're safe, that you're well, that not only physically but mentally. Please keep in mind of all the different resources that GNTC has to offer you regarding that. We do have a resource, I think it was called Aspire. Let me look it up real quick. I think it's important for me to mention this as much as possible to our students. Where is it? I think it's called Aspire. If you have any questions, let me know, but it's for people who are going through difficult times. I'm glad that we finally, as a society, has stabilized from during the COVID era. There was a lot of students struggling with a loss in their family, with issues in themselves, struggling through classes. But now we're at a different place. But if you still have any issues, know that there's support here for you to be able to overcome that. Not only that, in regards to your grades, there's success coaches that can help you figure out what's going on, what's happening, better prepare for tests, all that stuff, deal with anxiety, all those issues. Other than that, I have a couple of things that I'm looking for this week. We have the World Cup happening. I've been looking and watching the World Cup. The U.S. won our first game 4-1, and we get to play once again, I think, on Friday. Today, Tuesday, we have France, which if some of you are in the logistics program, Mr. Stantone, he's our director of supply chain management and logistics. He's from France, so we'll be watching their game at 3 o'clock. And then later on tonight, I want to say Argentina plays, which is close family friends of ours, people from Argentina. So we'll be watching that closely. So if you're into soccer, or as they call football everywhere else except America, tell me who you're rooting for. We saw Spain yesterday. It was a tied match, but it was a defeat for Spain because Spain is who most people think will win this year. So we'll see what it has. If there's any upsets. Other than that, I think we're plugging away, guys. We're almost done. Hang in there with me. I hope these videos at least helps you stay connected with me. I just finished my cup of coffee, and like always, stay hydrated, everyone. I wish you the very best this week, and take care.